Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I am Joey Francis, your life, love, and relationship coach. Thank you so much for joining me. How to date and some tips on how to date, at least my idea of tips on how to date and my idea of how to date. Because here's the thing, whatever works for you works for you. So maybe hopefully you can take a little something from this and it might help you out on your journey. And if not, I hope it's just entertaining nonetheless. So a very good friend of mine asked me how to date, where she goes online and she's having a hard time shuffling men around, so to speak. So matching with guys, talking to them, going out with them, and managing, 1, 2, 3, 4 at a time, essentially. And I feel like there's probably a lot of people that have similar experiences to this, where you go online and you start to talk to someone and you become interested in them. So you might go out with them, but the times that you're not talking to them, you might be talking to another person and might be interested in them. And then it comes down to, well, which one do I go out with, right? Like who gets my time, who gets my energy here? And obviously, you have to pick. I can't tell you which one to pick because I have no idea what's going on in your life. But here's the thing. I would tell you to pick whichever one you like more, whichever one appeals to you more. This is why I've said it a million times. It is so important to know exactly, well, not exactly. It is so important to know what you're looking for. That way, when you get put into these situations, it's easier to weed through people because, whether someone has something you're looking for or doesn't have something you're looking for, it's very easy to decipher between the two. And then, one of them goes. And this is exactly what I said to her. In fact, I even said to her, like, listen, if talking to, 2 guys or 3 guys or 4 guys feels too overwhelming and confuses you with what you should and shouldn't do, cut it down. Cut it down to 1 guy. Cut it down to 2 guys. Make it to the point that it's manageable for you. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, dating so many people at once. And it's like, I agree with that. I'm not somebody who subscribes to that. But at the same time, I do get it, because when you initially match with someone, there's nothing there yet. Like, we haven't built a rapport yet, and we're just trying to get to know each other. And you might do that with 2, 3, 4, 5 people at a time, right? And then obviously giving your time more towards the ones that you're more interested in. And maybe, apologizing and backing out from the ones that you're not that interested in. But the thing is that if by any chance it is too overwhelming for you, just do 1 at a time. That's the best way to do it anyways. Focus your attention on one person. And the thing is that if that one person isn't necessarily engaging with you when you want them to, right? Well, then maybe they're not for you. If they're not giving you enough time, or if they're not giving you enough of what you're looking for, then they're not for you. And it's literally like that simple, right? So do what feels comfortable for you. At the end of the day, you're the one that's in charge. You're the one that picks and chooses who you talk to, who you go out with, and you have to be accountable for that, right? So always rely on yourself. Don't listen to other people that they tell you, you're only talking to 1 person at a time. You need to up your game. You should talk to 5 people at a time, or 10 people at a time, or whatever the case is. And I know, men and women that have both done that. And honestly, I could never, because it is literally like a job. You have to be so attentive to so many people. It's like, when do you have time for yourself, right? So I am someone that subscribes to the 1 at a time type of deal, but if that's not your thing, that's not your thing. And if you're more into just getting to know people and sort of creating this little space for yourself where you have options and a choice, by all means, if that works for you. But I always say, you have to be transparent with people. If you're not looking for something serious and you're just playing the field and seeing what's out there, just let people know that's what you're doing, right? So that they don't get too attached to you and they don't, find themselves in a place like, hey, wait a minute. I really like this person. I want to spend more time with them, but it's so hard to do so. And again, if you are in that position and somebody doesn't match your energy or isn't giving you what you want, there's always more fish in the sea. So some other tips. First and foremost, here's a question for you. And you should actually ask yourself this. How many first dates have you been on this past year? It's not enough. It's not enough. And I guarantee, like, for the majority of people out there, it's not enough. If you are actively looking for a relationship, right? Going on a date every couple of months is not going to get you where you need to be. Because at the end of the day, this is a numbers game, right? The more people you go through, the more closer you are to the one that's right for you, right? Again, very important. Very important. Doing knowing like what you're ready for. And like this goes back to, the earlier episodes of this podcast, knowing what you're ready for, having a good idea of what you want, having a good idea of what you don't want, and having an idea of how you want someone to treat you, how you want someone to make you feel, and how you want to be loved. And like, you should literally have this like literally written down, so that you have something to come back to. This isn't like something in your head that, because our memories are a funny thing. And if we like somebody for one reason, we might start tweaking what's on this piece of paper because we want them and we want them to like us and we want to like them. So we might be like, well, this is not really a big deal. Let's overlook this and overlook that because I just really want to be with this person for whatever reason. So, but it's not enough dates. And I'm going on wild tangents here. It's not enough dates. So if you are actively trying to find someone and be in a relationship, aside from all the homework that I've given you over the weeks, you have to go on more dates. And in all honesty, I would even suggest like a minimum of 2 first dates a month. And I'm not saying that every date has to be a first date. Obviously, if you like someone and you want to explore it further, then explore it further. Get to know them better, take it to the next step. But if that's not the case, a minimum of 2 first dates a month, if not at least 1 a week, because the thing is, a lot of people do not listen to themselves. You go out with someone, you're like, like they're attractive. We have some things in common, but there's just a bunch of things I don't like. You know what? I'm going to give it another shot. I'll give it another date. And it's like, but why? You already know that you don't like them, right? Now, I know that love can grow. I know that, things can take time and be a slow burn and, come in. But at the same time, I feel personally, again, this is my own thoughts and opinions, but I feel that if you're going to meet someone, shouldn't there be something like some sort of fireworks, some sort of electricity there to be like, I really need to see this person again. Not like, yeah, they're not bad. Let's go for round 2 and see what happens. For me, it's like, no, I'm blown away. Like I want another date. I want to see where this goes. Obviously I'm not like jumping the gun and going all crazy, but at the same time, there should be some sort of excitement there. And maybe I'm just being a hopeful romantic and thinking that that's what happens, but that's what I'm looking for personally. So after a first date, I generally know if someone's it or someone's not it, especially after like the whole, I don't know if you've listened to the podcast, but, talking for a week, give or take, getting to know them, seeing if, everything aligns on our lists, and then going out and then, figuring shit out and then going from there. But if you're only going on like 1 date every 2 months, right? And then you switch it to going on 2 dates a month, which I think is like fairly modest, right? Because you're getting time to like get to know someone and go out with them. And you might even have a second date with them until then figure out that, oh, they're not for me. And then, find someone new and do it all over again. You're, what is it? Like tripling, quadrupling your output and putting yourself in front of even more people. I mean, that right there is going to get you to where you want to go even faster. Now, this doesn't even have to be actual dates if it's too much for you. You can even just FaceTime with these people. And I count that. I count that as a date because despite not being in person and, there is a loss of figuring out whether there's chemistry or not for the most part. Like you can still figure stuff out. You could still figure out like how they are face to face. You know what I mean? And how they're going to act. So even if it's going on like FaceTime dates, I still count that, right? Because again, you're just putting yourself in front of more people. And like I said, talking to someone like in my guidelines, talking to someone a week prior, because we are older now, right? There is so much more to what's involved in finding the right person for us. So if you think about it, because I know a lot of people, they want to put chemistry as number one. Chemistry is like the most important thing. And yes, chemistry is a very important thing, but I do not believe that there is anything that is more important than anything else. Because when it comes to a relationship, you have to accept someone who they are as they are standing in front of you. I've said it 1,000,000 times. I'll say it 1,000,000 more. So chemistry, having chemistry with someone is literally just as important as their values, if that's something that is important to you. Their religion, if that's something that's important to you. Their work ethic, if that's something that's important to you. What they're looking for, what their future is like, where they want to go. Because being able to grow with someone is just as important as having chemistry with them. Because if you and your potential partner have different ideas of what the future looks like, you're just going to like do this as life goes on, and you're going to grow apart. And then essentially, rather than wasting a week or a month, you're going to be wasting like 5 years. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. That's important. But that's why I'm saying talking, getting to know someone, even having like a FaceTime, a video chat, because you can figure out all these other things, talk to them about religion, talk to them about values, find out if they're emotionally available. There are so many, other avenues that are just as important as figuring out whether you have chemistry with them. So take the time and do these things and put yourself in front of more people. Now, here's another tip on dating, or another approach to it. And this is something that I thought long and hard about. Cliche as it may seem, a lot of people say, I want to date my best friend, right? The thing is that when we go out on dates, we don't treat the people that we're dating like a friend, right? We're treating them like an adversary sometimes because of all the games that people play. So I say, how about the next time you go out on a date, treat them like a friend? Because when you do that, you are almost taking away all the pressure of the date. Because rather than, am I going to marry this person? It's, am I going to have a good time with them tonight? Just like you would with any other of your friends. So the next time that you go on a date, approach it by treating them as a friend. But at the same time, keep in mind it is a date, and don't wait to show interest if interest is there. So if you go out with them and you find that you have this great chemistry together, say it as you feel it, right? Be honest and transparent, because being open allows both parties to express interest or to be like, hey, you know what? I had a great time tonight, but I don't see a future with you. And That's it. Done and done. So by approaching, again, a date like a friend, but at the same time as a date, where you're kind of like living in this dual world almost, it's just to help take the pressure off, for starters. Not only off yourself, but off of them too. Because, and vice versa. Because, you know, we always want to put our best foot forward, and maybe we hide the things that we think that people won't like about us. And we just want to show them the good parts of us. So rather than doing any of that, just think of it as like a friend. And, you know, funny enough, a friend of mine did that. Like, I told them, you know, you should go out on a date and look at it this way rather than approaching it like a date. And she did it. And she told me straight out, she's like, honestly, it was so much more comfortable. I wasn't trying to impress him, and I was acting more like myself. How incredible is that? How incredible is that? That you go on a date, and rather than try to impress the person, you just be yourself. And that should be enough to impress someone. Because if it's not, then maybe they're not the right person for you. You know? Because this is like another thing where we go out on dates, we get excited, we want to put our best foot forward, we want to try to impress them, but we're going above and beyond our everyday means, so to speak. So that this person that they're meeting isn't necessarily the real us. It's this like pumped up version of us. The question is how long are you going to keep that pumped up version there for? You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure that those of you out there who have dated quite a bit have been in that situation where you met someone and it felt electric and it was fantastic. And then as you got to know them a little bit better, you're like, wait a minute. What happened? What happened to the person I went on a date with? Like who's this? Like what's going on here? So that's just an idea that I have that maybe you'd like to try and see how it goes. And if you do, you know, I would love to know about it. So if you go to my website, that's joeyfrancis.com, joeyfrances.com, there is a little bit of box there where you can actually contact me. And I would love to hear that if you take any of these suggestions, try them out and let me know which suggestion and how it goes and how it went for you, even if it goes terribly wrong. Anyways, back to my tips. If you feel attraction, and I was just saying this, I want you to share it. I want you to be open and honest, okay? Using your words. None of this, well, I'm here, so obviously this person knows that I like them. Because I think that's bullshit. I think that's complete baloney, because that's not always the case. What if you're just bored? You know, what if you're there because you're being polite? Who knows? And people do that. We both know people do that. People will sit there on a date and be like, oh my God, I wish this was over. I want to go home. I hate this person. But they put on a smile and stick around anyways. That's not necessary. Be honest. Use your words and don't hold back. And don't go give into this fear of, and this is like for a specific type of people, but don't give into the fear of like not being validated, where you say to someone, like you're scared of someone not reciprocating your feelings, because that's the point of dating, figuring out whether someone is right or wrong for us. So to me, is it not better to walk into something and say like, hey, you know what? I really like you. And then the other person goes, that's funny because I don't feel the same way. I don't really like you. And it's like, oh, that was a little harsh, but okay. See you later. And that's it. And you go your separate ways, you know? And you save so much time. And like, this is what I call essentially dating without attachment, because you are doing the things that your true self wants to do. You are saying the things that your true self is thinking. So rather than trying to be attached to someone, and I mean, listen, I understand the whole point of dating is to eventually be attached to someone, but instead of trying to be attached to someone and their thoughts and their feelings, we're attached to ourselves. So if we like someone, we say so. If we don't like someone, we say so. And doing so saves us time and energy and other resources. Okay? And that's the key. Because at the end of the day, time is the one commodity in the whole universe we will never get back. So you might as well try to save as much of it as possible, right? And spending it in the right areas. So rather than wasting time, don't be attached to someone. Be attached to yourself. And if you don't like someone, this is exactly why I say first dates should not be dinners, and first dates should more be coffees and drinks and things that could be cut short. Things that you can essentially walk away from, as opposed to, a place that you're stuck. Because if you get stuck with someone you don't like, that resentment is going to build fast over time, to the point at the end of the date is that you're going to be furious. They didn't do anything wrong, essentially. They're just not your type. And you're going to be furious with them when there's really no reason for you to be furious with them, because they're just not for you. They're just not your cup of tea. That's it. And could be vice versa. You could go through a whole day thinking like, hey, you know what? This is pretty good. I'm feeling good about this. And then the other person's like, no, what are you talking about? No. Like, I never want to see your face again. And you're like, okay, didn't have to be that mean about it, but fine, right? Versus you just having a drink with them, it being like a 5 or 10 minute thing. And then they're like, hey, listen, like, thanks for coming out. I appreciate you giving me your time, but I'm just not interested. And then that would be that. That would be the end of it. So dating without attachment, meaning you be your true self, you be completely honest. It's not based on neediness, because you don't need this other person. You don't need to impress them. You don't need to win them over. This is about you and what you want and what you need. And so just be transparent and honest, and go on these coffee dates or drink dates or whatever the case is, right? And say what you need to say. Say what you feel when you feel it. Express your intentions and your boundaries with someone as soon as possible. And if they're not receptive of it, they're not receptive of it. That's telling. Maybe they're not emotionally available. I don't know. Here's something else. If you're not the online type, ask people out. And I know it seems like a silly suggestion, because the whole point is dating and going out. Ask people out. And if you're out and about and you meet someone interesting, tell them that they're interesting and ask them out. And literally this goes both for men and women. And I know there's a lot of women out there that are like, no, no, can't do it. No. And it's like, listen, if you women knew, you don't make it easy for guys to ask you out. And I know that there's a lot of women out there that are like, I wish we would go back to the old ways of things. And I mean, a lot of those women want to have their cake and eat it too, because they want to be treated in a certain way while having certain decisions not made for them, let's say. Nonetheless, that's neither here nor there. But you're not making it easy for guys, right? And I can even tell you from experience. Even just I was out last Friday for a friend's birthday, and just approaching someone and trying to talk to them, and you just, it's just like, hey, how's it going? And you just get a the side eye, and it's almost like a dirty look, and it's like, okay, sorry I asked. I tried. If they weren't interested in me, fine, don't be interested in me. You don't necessarily have to make it so tough, because that's the thing. Not all guys have the stones to walk up to a woman and start talking to her because of the fear of rejection. And I mean, granted, it's the same reason why women don't want to go up to men, because they feel like they're going to be rejected. But the funny thing is 9 times out of 10, if a woman goes up to a guy's going to be like, wait, what? What's going on here? Huh? You're talking to me? Like you think I'm interested? Like what? Wait, what? I'm funny? And the guy's going to be absolutely ecstatic. I even mentioned this in the prior podcast. I think it was maybe last week or 2 weeks ago. But yeah, it would totally work. As if a woman is coming up to a man and starting a conversation with him, being really friendly and saying something like, hey, you know what? I enjoyed this. We should get together sometime. The guy is immediately going to think that you're into him immediately. And essentially, like, you've avoided so much bullshit and so much confusion, right? And I mean, if that's the case, exchange numbers, exchange Instagrams, you know, look at each other's Instagram, see what their stories are like, see what they like doing. Say like, hey, I noticed you like rock climbing. I would love to give it a try, but you know, I've never been before. And that person who likes rock climbing was probably gonna be like, oh my God, I would love to take you rock climbing. I'd love to introduce like my hobby to somebody else. And voila, just like that. It's so easy. So yeah, don't be afraid. We're all just human beings, you know? Just if you see somebody that looks interesting to you, go talk to them. Go make friends. This is another thing that I tell people, right? Just to help you get out of your shell. Get out of this idea of being like so closed off, even though you want a relationship or you want to find someone or you want to meet someone or you want something for the future, but yet you're so closed off to the world. Even if you aren't necessarily ready for something serious, that shouldn't stop you from making new friends, because new friends always lead you to new places and to new people, because maybe that person isn't the right one for you, but maybe their friend is. And if you enter something like a group of people, introduce yourself, whatever the case is, and you come in and you're like, hey, listen, you know, I see that you're dressed this way and I really love what you're wearing and whatever the case is. And you just make it very like non-threatening and you make a new friend. And again, ladies, if you're approaching guys, it's almost a guarantee that they will sit there and talk to you and become friends with you at the very minimum. Just saying. And like, here's the thing. I would rather you go on 100 first dates in a year that were all failed than have one relationship that lasted a year that turned out terrible because you and the person weren't on the same page. Because with every person, you know, we're trying to get you to your one, right? Rather than you spending a year with someone, one person that turns out not to be it, right? And I go back to this whole idea of not necessarily wasting time, but I'm going to call it saving time, right? Because everything we do, I don't necessarily think is always a waste of time. If you're driving down a dead-end street, knowing it's a dead-end street and knowing that you need to get out of the dead-end street, like, why would you be driving down a dead-end street? Like, that's a waste of time. And that's what I feel like is like when you have that blueprint essentially of what you want, like the type of person you want. And this obviously doesn't include chemistry because that's something that only happens in person. But why would you not put yourself in front of people who potentially can have chemistry with and then have everything you need versus, you know, you go out there looking for chemistry first and then that leading you down that dead end street because then they tell you that, you know, they have different values than you, different religion than you, different hobbies than you, different what musics than you. And these are the things that bother and you're like, no. So just remember that. And that's why I would rather you go on 100 first dates than just one relationship that lasts a year. Because those 100 first dates are really going to teach you about yourself and they're going to lead you down a path of finding better, higher quality people. And I know you don't think so. Don't believe me? Go try it. It won't even take 100. Chances are you will find your person before you reach the 100. And you might not. But chances are you would. You know, meeting someone's like a chances of like 1 in 100. There you go. 1 in 100. Go on 100 first dates. Report back to me. joyfrancis.com. You know what to do. Okay. Aside from that, this is a big one. And I get this from people, both men and women. Learn how to communicate. Okay? And I know you're probably thinking like, oh yeah, I know how to communicate. No, you don't. A lot of you are really terrible at communication. Absolutely horrific at communication. Okay? How many of you out there have said, I have a hard time texting people back, even my friends? That's a person that has very, very terrible communication skills. How can you not get back to you? It's 2025. These devices are always within arm's reach. And don't give me that shit that they're not, okay? And listen, I get it. If you're somebody who wants to enjoy life and you try to stay away from this thing, I understand. I get it. You know, that's probably a very cleanly way to live. But don't give me that shit that you don't check your phone. I'm not saying that, you know, you have to always reply to someone right away, although I'm sure they would appreciate it, just like you would if you had a question for somebody. But nonetheless, there's people out there that go a day, 2 days, 3 days before replying. And then what? Then you reply. And at that point, that person, whoever you're replying to, isn't exactly as interested in you because, you know, actions speak louder than words. And then you wonder to yourself, why don't people like me? Why don't guys want to like go out with me? Why don't girls like, you know, give me any time? And it's like, well, maybe this is why. Maybe it's because of your shitty communication skills that people get the idea that you're not interested in them. Because although you might say to them, like, listen, you know, I really like you. We should do something sometime. Sure. Like, that's great. You know, you put something out into the world. Fantastic. And then you don't talk to them for a day or two. How can you do something with someone or get to know them if you're not talking to them? And again, I don't think that you need to, you know, spend your life talking to these people constantly, day in and day out. But how else are you going to get to know someone if you're not talking to them and going out with them and actually like setting up dates and not the stupid disappearing act? Listen, I've heard it from women. Gentlemen, if you're listening to this, I've literally heard this from women, that a guy will make a date with them on Monday. And the guy will say, hey, listen, Friday, 8 p.m., meet at X restaurant. And the girls are like, yeah, okay, a man that takes action. I'm for this. I want this. I want this. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, nothing. Silence. And then the girls are thinking to themselves, what the? I thought this guy wanted to get to know me. You literally had 4 days in between our date and from when you made the date to learn more about me. And you did none of the sort. And listen, guys aren't the only ones that do this. Women do this too. You know, they'll make a date with a guy and then they kind of go radio silent. And these women will say, well, listen, you know, I need to know if I have chemistry with you before talking to you. And it's like, you're wasting your time. Because you're literally like, you could be finding out so many other things about a human being as opposed to just waiting to find out if they have chemistry. And that's literally like, I've had women say that to me. Like, listen, you know, I don't want to talk to you. I want to know if I have chemistry with you before I talk to you. And it's like, really? So you want to invest an evening with me to see if you should talk to me when you can literally talk to me right now. You can figure out whether our values align, whether all the other important shit aligns. You could do that right now, but you want to wait till we go out and invest the night and then figure out all the other shit. It's like, okay, poor time management, poor communication. Learn how to respond in a timely manner. Learn how to talk to people, okay? Learn how to express yourself. And I know, listen, there's a lot of guys out there that have a hard time expressing their feelings and expressing their emotions. I get it. I understand that. Listen, guys, most women will give you a lot of leeway if you are attempting to do so. Because maybe you're not used to it. Maybe you don't know what words to use. But if you to sit someone down and you want to express yourself and share your feelings with them, they will be patient with you. Most people will be patient with you. Most people will listen to you and hear you out and try to figure out like what you're saying and talk you through it essentially. But you have to want to do it, because if it's something that you don't normally do and you're like, okay, let's just keep doing the same thing that we're always doing, you're just going to get the same results. Being open, being honest, being transparent, putting yourself out there on the line, okay? Being vulnerable is sexy, both for men and women. Because you're opening up to someone. You're saying like, hey, listen, I trust you enough to share this stuff with you. And if you like it, you like it. And if you don't, you don't. And, if we part ways, then we part ways. So, communication. I've said it 1 billion times and I'll say it 1 billion more. The two most important pillars of any relationship, friendship, business partnerships, employer-employee, romantic, communication and acceptance. And we can only get there if we communicate the things about us so that we give someone the chance to accept, and vice versa. So, aside from communication, this one is like most important to me. One of the most important things to me specifically, like when I start talking to someone and when I'm in a relationship with someone, it's consideration. That's it. And I know it seems like such a basic thing, but if you're going to have a busy day and I send you a message and you're going to have a busy day, afford me the 5 seconds of your time and say, hey, I appreciate the message. I'm going to have a busy day today, so I might not be able to get back to you. I'll talk to you tomorrow, or I'll talk to you later. 5 seconds. And if you can't afford someone 5 seconds, what are you doing? Do you even give a shit? This is why I'm so strict with the way communication goes with me. Because if I message someone and a day goes by, or 2 days go by, or 3 days go by, and it's like, I'm not even worth like 5 seconds of your time for you to be like, hey, listen, I have a really crazy week, or a lot of shit's going down right now. I might not have time for you. Okay, no problem. Then you're telling me exactly who you are. You're telling me exactly what I'm worth to you. And if I'm not worth 5 seconds to you, then goodbye. See you later. Unless you have like one of the greatest excuses of time, no, there's no point. There's no point. Because all I'm asking for is 5 seconds. I'm not saying that, we need to like get married and, go all crazy. It's just 5 seconds of your time. Just 5 seconds to say like, hey, you know what? I'm going to be busy for the rest of the day. I won't be able to message you, or whatever the case is. So think about being considerate to other people, that they are giving you their time and you're doing it vice versa, right? So just as much as you wouldn't want someone to waste your time, think about how you're wasting other people's time. And I know there's a lot of inconsiderate people out there that just don't give a shit and they're very greedy and they only look out for them. Well, this is a way to weed them out. Because if they aren't giving you what you want or what you need, and they're not being considerate of you, your time, your feelings, your communication, then maybe they're not for you. Because at the end of the day, the choice is yours. You need to choose this, right? So if you're not choosing it, or if you are choosing people that treat you badly, that's on you. And that might be the hardest truth to swallow when it comes to like tips on dating. That it's on you. You're the one that is picking people. So if people treat you like shit and you either fall for their garbage or you get attracted to it. And I've even had a podcast. One of my episodes was about, toxic people being exciting. If you choose these people, it is on you. You're the one to blame. They're treating you like shit. You accept that behavior and you go with it, thinking you can either change them or thinking that things are going to change, thinking that they're going to fall in love with you and everything's going to be amazing. No, they're telling you exactly who they are. And I even said this about like online dating in general. You know, you go online, there's some seedy people out there, like specifically guys that are like just looking to get laid, and they're very blunt about it and very forward about it. And you might get disgusted as a woman, but rather than get disgusted, you should see it as, he's telling me exactly who he is. Goodbye, I'm not interested. So if someone is inconsiderate, if someone is toxic and you are choosing them, that is your choice. If you want an authentic relationship based on mutual respect and admiration, then date someone who respects and admires you, and not someone who gets this message that, you know, you're needy or you're this or you're that, or you only want them for their money or you only want them for their achievements. Because that's not going to be based on mutual respect and admiration. That's you admiring them for the wrong reasons, if I might say so. And they're going to take advantage of you. If you want an authentic relationship based on mutual respect and admiration, date and choose someone. Please put me out of business. Put me out of business. I don't want to help you anymore. I want you all to be successful. Choose someone who respects and admires you as much as you do them. All right. This has gone longer, way longer than usual. I hope that there's something in here for you. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions or podcast ideas, you know where to reach me. That's joeyfrancis.com, joeyfrances.com. And you can ask me a question there. You can also buy my books there, which I highly, highly recommend because, you know, first you need to make yourself happy and you should journal. And those two things are my books. You should go buy them. Okay. Love yourself and make the best decisions for your future. I don't know. That's just what I'm saying today. Hold on a second. You know what? Hold on a second. There's a thing that I said like last time. Or maybe not. Maybe not. This will solve most of your problems in life. No, we don't need to do that. Why would you need to do that? Okay, never mind. Just, you know, go out there. Be honest with yourself. Figure out what you want. And then go and get it. Till next time.